Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we move on. We move on and shift our attention. We're going to jump into the world of Alibaba. Alibaba, an ecosystem built on cloud. And the next gentleman on stage right now is going to share with you his insights and ideas exactly on that. A gentleman who's responsible for helping businesses and consumers across key European markets access the Alibaba ecosystem and brings a true wealth of experience in global omnichannel retail, e-commerce, and marketing experience to his role. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage General Manager of Europe at the Alibaba Group, Mr. Terry von Bibra.
Thanks. So, hello everyone. I'm very happy to be here and share some thoughts with you. I'm just enjoying these lovely carpets here. This is not something you see every day when you're giving a speech, that you've got some nice oriental carpets. So I want to share my thoughts with you about Alibaba, try to explain a bit about what we do at Alibaba, and also touch on our cloud business. So, first of all, Alibaba is a very complicated company. It's a company that a lot of people have heard of, but don't necessarily understand what it is we do. So I'm going to try to give you a sense of what that is. One of the things that people have heard of when it comes to Alibaba is our founder, Jack Ma, our IPO, and something called Singles Day, which I will be coming back to here in a second. I first, though, need our slides to change, so a brief request to the Technic team. I'm seeing my slides here, but I am not seeing my slides there. If we could please fix that. Otherwise, I'm happy to speak without the slides, but I think it will be more enjoyable for our audience with the slides. There we go. All right. So here you see two of the things I mentioned, Jack Ma and our IPO. 25 billion is the largest IPO in history so far. But in reality, Alibaba is much, much more. We started as a B2B listings business focused on helping young people in China participate in cross-border trade. This is back in 1999. Cross-border trade was something for multinationals, was something that was very difficult to do. And we found that through technology, something called back then the internet, very new at the time, here, and you can imagine a provincial city in China, what that was like in 1999, that people through the internet could participate in global trade, which otherwise would have been closed to them. So our mission is to make it, if we really got a problem with the slides transition here, there we go. Our mission is to make it easy to do business anywhere. And this is actually the one theme that connects all the different parts together that we do. We have, in the meantime, we are no longer just a B2B business. We do B2B, C2C, B2C, B2B2C. The newest one, C2B, cloud services, financial services, AliTrip, AliSport. There's a lot of things here for a lot of different groups and stakeholders. But the one theme that ties those together is our mission to make it easy to do business anywhere. Now, we're a big company in the meantime. The numbers speak for themselves. $485 billion in GMV. GMV is not revenue. GMV is gross merchandise volume. This is what our partners, the brands we work with, the companies we work with, what they are selling on our platforms. When we crossed that number, it did make us the largest retail platform in the world. We have over 10 million active sellers on the platform, 443 million active buyers. It's a very vibrant, as you can imagine, ecosystem. We deliver almost 57 million packages every day. And a very specific part about us, we don't deliver them because we're very much interested in working with an ecosystem, with a network of partners. We work with hundreds of different companies. There are over 1.4 million people in China who are delivering these packages every day. They're not employees of Alibaba. Because for us, this would not be scalable. We don't want to have 1.4 million employees. We have a much, much smaller number than that. But we want to enable the quality of delivery from order from ordering to the actual delivery. And for that, we work with these many partners, we work with technology, but we don't try to control the entire ecosystem end to end. We have about 1 billion product listings live at any single point in time. So the new China landscape. So much has changed in China. I think it's very hard to describe if you haven't experienced that yourselves. For me, it was something I've been learning a lot of it in the last year and a half since I joined the company. But China has gone through such a development in the last 20 to 30 years in terms of the consumer's ability to buy products, to have the disposable income to invest in products, but then to have the selection and choice and the access to products to buy for themselves, for their family members. And this has driven this huge growth that we have been very privileged to participate in. There's a number of factors that are helping to drive this. One of them is the developments of the internet, developments of e-commerce, but another one is China has the highest savings rate of any country in the world. The average savings rate, if you measure savings as a percentage of GDP, is about 23, 24%. In China, that number is twice as high. 48.8% is the savings quote in China. So when you think of the sheer scale of China, hundreds of billions of people who now actually have disposable incomes to buy products with, and they're saving at twice the rate as we do here in Europe, that's generating this disposable income that wants to purchase quality goods for the family members. To get a sense of the scale of China, if you see this number, this is predicting 2020 GDP, and you can see China, orange is the current situation, 4.2 trillion, India 1.3, Germany here 1.8, and the predicted growth. China is predicted to grow by another 2.3 trillion. Now, if you compare that to the right with Germany at 1.8, if Germany grows another half a trillion, then Germany as a total will be about 2.2 trillion. So the way to think about this, to get a sense of the scale, is that China is basically going to add another Germany on top. And Germany is not a small economy. So that is the size of scale of the opportunity that we see in China. Next slide, if we may. There we go. We go back one. So 1.4 billion people in China. We all know China is very large. But what's really interesting is the amount of people who are online, 763 million online users. Of those, 620 million mobile. Mobile is big everywhere. Mobile is big here in Germany. Mobile is big in the US. But it's on a scale in China that is quite different. So if in the US, a typical share of GMV of an e-commerce site might be about 30% coming through mobile devices, in China, this is about 67 to 70%. On our site, where we're a bit ahead of the curve, it's now up to over 80% of the business is done on a mobile device. People don't buy through laptops and desktops. They buy through their mobile device. The internet for them is a mobile device. But you see, there's another 600 million people there who are not currently participating in this consumer development, in this consumer revolution. And this is why we have one of our strategies, one of our long-term global strategies at Alibaba is what we call rural Taobao. We want to enable the 600 million Chinese who are not having access to this activity to be able to also purchase online. So what we've done as a goal is we want to open 100,000 village-level centers. Very simple, could be a single room with a single person, but they have a strong internet connection, and we have worked out a logistical solution where if someone orders something from them in the village, we will ensure that it gets delivered to that one address. We cannot deliver to the entire village, but we can find a way to deliver to that single address. So this is actually quite a bit of organizational work. It's quite a bit of operational work to make this happening. It's very rudimentary compared to how all of us experience e-commerce every day. But for these 600 million Chinese that we're trying to help access, this is a revolution in terms of their ability to buy online and to sell online. So farmers are able to take the goods they produce and sell them to other Chinese or around the world using the same system. From the goal of 100,000 villages, we're now up to about 30,000 villages. This is a long-term, ongoing piece of work. As I mentioned, we've been very successful as the market leader in the B2C space in China. So you can see here with market share of 56%. Why is this important? Because it gives us the ability to really take innovation, take the ideas we want to do, ways we want to help change how commerce is done, and enable Chinese buyers and sellers to actively engage with buyers and sellers around the world. This gives us the ability to fuel that growth. As I mentioned at the beginning, we are a complicated company. We have about 25 different business units. Seems to me every time I go to China, I was there last week, I'm going to get in a few weeks. Every time I go, we've launched yet another new business unit. But to give you a sense of that, you see on the left-hand side our digital media and entertainment, things like Youku. Youku is the YouTube of China, Alibaba Music, Ali Sports. UC Browser is the #1 mobile browser in China, as well as in India and elsewhere in Southeast Asia. In the middle, you have our core commerce businesses. So things like Tmall, Taobao was our C2C platform. Tmall is what we work with quite a bit. Tmall Global. This is things like taking a high-quality German brand and enabling it to sell on our platform to Chinese consumers who want to spend their disposable income on that sort of quality made in Germany. And on the right-hand side, you see the local services. And then at the bottom, you see the foundations. We have very strong foundations. One is our financial services. Alipay is the largest mobile payment solution in the world. We have over 450 million people actively using that to pay their bills, be it their rent, their electricity bills, or the taxi, or the movie theater, or the coffee at Starbucks. It is an omnipresent. In China, often now, in some cities like our capital of our headquarters, Hangzhou, you don't really need a wallet. You can pay for everything in your daily needs using your mobile phone. We have Alimama, our big data platform. China, this is our logisticals algorithm that I referred to before. And right here at the bottom, the foundation of the whole thing, which is our Ali Cloud. Ali Cloud is something that we built not because we said, oh, let's launch yet another Ali. Let's launch another business unit. It's a great business, a growing business. All of that's true. That's not the reason we launched it. It's not the reason that we got into the cloud business. The reason we got into the cloud business is because we had a need as a business to be able to scale. I'll give you an example afterwards where no one else could provide us with a scalable technology to operate e-commerce at the size and scale that we do. So we went off and built it ourselves. After we did that, we realized, actually, we have something very, very powerful here that we would also like to share with other partners and enable others to use it. And again, this tied it back to our mission statement to make it easy to do business anywhere. Cloud solutions, having an effective and powerful cloud solutions, is one of the key ways we help others make it easy for themselves to do business. So some key facts about Ali Cloud. Established in 2009, as I mentioned there, out of our own need for something that large. We are the #1 public cloud in Greater China. We are growing very well and very, very quickly. Over 2.3 million customers. Of those 765,000 paying customers. We have done a partnership here in Europe, in Germany, with Vodafone, and working with them to help us bring our solution to customers here in Europe, also working with customers directly. We're a pioneer in big data and AI technologies. Aspara is a solution we have built, which is a supercomputational engine. Building and investing in technology is something that we do, again, when we think about the long term. Alibaba is a company that really does have a very strong business, but part of that is we invest in where we want to be 5, 10, 15 years from now, and we invest in technologies that we want to enable our partners to use. So something like super computational engine sounds very, very sexy. It's very expensive. It's very resource intensive. This is not something that our partners themselves would necessarily be able to do. I'll be talking a little bit later about things like artificial reality, virtual reality, augmented reality. These are things we build because we want to enable our partners to test them with their customers. So we now have over 14 data centers for our cloud business around the world. One of the ones we launched most recently is here in Germany, in Frankfurt, to enable us to have local cloud storage facilities. And we have a large number of solutions. You can see the list here. This is a very, very high-level list. You know, when I think about cloud solutions and cloud products, and I am certainly not an expert in this area, and I don't know how many people in the room are, but when I speak to a lot of people, it's very hard to imagine what is a cloud product. If I was to ask, you know, a group of 10 people at a cafe, what is actually a cloud product? Most people would probably say that's storage, right? I can store things up in the cloud. It's not in a server. It's maybe cheaper. It's more accessible. But, you know, there are literally limitless types of cloud solutions and cloud products and cloud services. You're just seeing a very, very simple list here. And every time that someone uses a cloud solution, they're using that cloud solution for a very specific purpose. If they decide to scale that up 10x, you're going to have to change the solution. You're going to have to improve it. If they decide to, say, go from using the cloud for storing financial data to storing marketing data, we're going to have to sit down and improve that solution. It is limitless in its applications, but it also means it really depends on what exactly are your goals and needs with cloud solutions, and how can we help to architect a solution that fits your needs at that scale for that type of data. I mentioned before the third thing that is famous for Alibaba, one of the three things that people do know about Alibaba. This is our so-called Singles Day sales promotion. 11/11 every year. It is the largest sales promotion, the largest sales event in the world, several times larger than Black Friday in the US and here in Europe. This last 11th of November, we did over $17.8 billion in GMV in 24 hours, a large number of that being for international brands selling to Chinese consumers. And as you see up here on the top right, one of the things I mentioned before, 82% of those sales being done through mobile devices. Completely different scale of the mobile application. We couldn't do this without our cloud solution. We built Ali Cloud in order to enable us to be able to do exactly this sort of event at scale. So at the peak times of this promotion, we were doing over up to 175,000 transactions per second. We were processing up to 120,000 orders per second. There's no way we could have turned to someone else and say, can you set that up for us? We got a big sales promotion going on in a couple of months. You know, can you bring in the solutions and hardware for us to do that? We have to build it ourselves, and we have to build it at a scale because every year these numbers are going up dramatically. So for us, it's a great privilege to be able to build these kind of solutions, but then to offer them for our partners and our customers to also use. I mentioned before virtual reality, augmented reality. Some of the things we are doing here, if you see on the top left, we have our virtual reality Buy Plus, something you can actually try out here at the CeBIT, at our stand, at the Vodafone pavilion. This isn't about our thinking 2 or 3 years from now, most people will be doing their purchases through virtual reality. I don't believe that's the case. That's not why we do things like this. Why we do things like this, or augmented reality, you see here on the bottom right, as part of our promotion for 11/11, we enabled consumers to play a game on their cell phone. It was basically chasing our logo and earning points to do so, but they did it in 30,000 physical stores. So we enabled this to be done in 30,000 different stores spread across China, and over 70 million people played this game leading up to our promotion. So why is this important? Again, it's not because shopping is going from being bricks and mortar to being e-commerce, to being mobile commerce, to now being augmented reality, to tomorrow being virtual reality. That's not the point. The point is the consumers are very quickly becoming very sophisticated, and they want to try these different things. But for an individual brand to go off to China and build their own augmented reality game would be very difficult. would be unnecessarily expensive. So what we do as a platform is we say, let us build those for you, and then you as a brand can try it out and see how does your consumer in China engage with virtual reality? How does augmented reality help you connect better to your consumer? In some cases it will be strong, in some cases it will be irrelevant, but we're enabling you to test that using our technology. We are also doing things like live fashion shows. 6 million people viewed this fashion show where they were able then to see the product, purchase the product, comment about the product on social media. Again, it is a reality that is blending between normal reality, virtual reality, and augmented reality.
戴上就好了。
I'll show you a little video on our virtual reality.
哎，画面动了，我好像在一个房间里面，照片会动，什么情况？我这是在哪？
Where did you come from?
这哥们儿吓我一跳。
Now that you're here, welcome to the Big Apple. You should really enjoy
哎
yourself.，
这不是时代广场吗？我来过的。我居然从杭州穿越到了纽约。
Time to go.
Macy's，梅西，美国最大的百货商场啊。
Hi, and welcome to Macy's, the largest department store.
嘿嘿。 这个包蛮有趣的，材质也不错，买一个送我女朋友吧，国内都没见过。搞定。
要不要去日本看看？
好啊！
Now we could have a good debate on the attractiveness of that particular purse that was being purchased through virtual reality, but I'm not the target audience. It's not necessarily the purse I would buy, but it's also not the point. The point is being able to test this sort of thing, enabling our partners to try it out and see how it works with their consumer. This is what it's about, because the consumer is more sophisticated. The consumer here in Germany, the consumer in China, they are more sophisticated than we all can keep up with technology-wise, because we have to spend lots of effort, lots of money to enable new technology. The consumer doesn't. The consumer doesn't spend any time thinking about this. We have teams who spend months building exactly this sort of thing, and then the consumer will try it out and he will form an opinion within seconds. And at those seconds, he is progressing so much faster than our own technology teams can keep up with. So it's so important to be testing these ideas, to figuring out how your brand wants to use this sort of technology, and sometimes you will, and sometimes you won't. Internet of Things, a big buzzword, but it's something that's really, really happening. And when you think of all these smarts, the smart home, smart wearables, smart education, all these different things, and also just what the Internet of Things and cloud computing enables you to do as a business, and how it is going to change many business models simply by the sheer endless possibilities it is opening up. It reminds me actually of a story, a recent interview with our founder, Jack Ma. He was being questioned by a journalist at the G20 in Hangzhou, and the journalist was saying, Jack, Alibaba, you're an e-commerce company platform. Why are you doing all these other things? Why are you doing cloud and financial services and payment services and all these different things, B2C, C2C? You guys should just be focusing on e-commerce, right? And Jack looked at the journalist and said, he says, think back to the 19th century when electricity came and really changed so much of the world. No one asked the guy using electricity to do light bulbs versus electricity to power a factory versus electricity to enable people to work or do other things at night, which would not have been possible before. No one said, you're an electricity guy. You should do only electricity. Why are you doing these other things? Because electricity enabled you to do anything. We see it the same way. We are not an e-commerce company. We are an e-commerce platform and many other things. We don't see that as what defines us. What we're trying to do is using something called the internet to be able to innovate and do things that help us make progress against our mission to make it easy to do business anywhere. And the internet and cloud services and things like the Internet of Things and smart homes and smart this is a good example that there are literally endless possibilities of what a business and what a consumer can do using applications via the internet. That's how we see it. That's what we see as our limitation, which is almost nothing, as opposed to being in a niche to say you should just be doing e-commerce. One of the things we are doing with our cloud services is a service here in Hangzhou, beautiful city about 2.5 hours from Shanghai, where our founders came from, where our company was founded, where our company is headquartered to this day. And we're doing a service there where we're using our cloud solutions and technology that we have built in order to try to improve the flow of traffic. Hangzhou, like any other city today, has big traffic problems. Growing, more and more cars. So we built a solution connecting the cameras with the cloud in order to be able, instead of having it be done manually, to improve the flow of traffic and see. If there are no cars there, there's no reason for the light to change. Seems very simple to us. The technology to make it happen is much more difficult. What we've been able to achieve here so far is an improvement of traffic flow of over 11%. Traffic is flowing 11% apple for apple measurement than it was before we introduced this system. So it's just one of many examples of how we can use cloud solutions to make things easier or better. We're very happy to be working with a lot of clients here in Europe with our cloud solutions. A couple of examples with Schneider Electric. We're helping them to do their own energy management systems using our cloud. We work with Philips in many different ways, also including in cloud solutions. And as I mentioned, our partnership with Vodafone, we are doing many, many different things, but we see ourselves as being very much at the beginning. The cloud business, I was discussing this earlier today with a journalist, the cloud business is so young. The cloud business and industry is so much at the beginning of what it's going to be. We've all been hearing about it for years, so it feels quite normal, but it's not. Cloud is very, very new. Like I was discussing before, many people don't even really understand what is a cloud product, what is a cloud solution. So we see this as something that is very much the beginning of how it's going to develop and change much of how we do business and much of how we live. So with that, I would like to close. I think it's very important as we think about how e-commerce is changing, cloud business is changing, how our world is changing, specifically how consumers are changing, and they're changing, as I mentioned, faster than we were able to do, faster than we're able to keep up. This is why innovation is so exciting. We don't see innovation as a business opportunity. We see innovation as a way to pursue our mission. But we do it where we see there's the biggest gap. We don't go into a business simply because we say, we're very strong, we have a great market share, we can go in and take a good share of that business. That's not how we think. How we think is, we're trying to make it easy to do business. Here's a gap. Here's something that's very difficult. No one is addressing that. Let's go in and address it. When we do, it often leads to very good business. We are a business and not a charity. But we're starting with the opportunity, where is something difficult that we can make it easy? Let's go in and do that. And if we succeed, it will be a good business model. And if we don't, we will then try another way to make it easy. So I'll leave you with those thoughts. Thank you very much for your time, and wishing you all a very interesting day here at CeBIT. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Terry von Bibra, thank you so much.